Hello, welcome to today's video, and in today's video we are going to look at how to fix this Neon Postgres Endpoint ID error while integrating Neon Postgres in your Laravel application. Now before we dive into how we solve this, the question is, how did we get here in the first place? Why are you using Neon Postgres in the first place? Why did you not use MySQL? And understand how I reached on this problem is to understand why I'm using Neon in the first place. And this is in general the problem that is related with Laravel. And by the end of this video, I think we are going to have broken down the barrier of why we don't normally use Laravel for our application. Most people always ask me on this channel, why are you not building more Laravel applications on day to day? And I'm just going to explain, and you will understand why I always avoid using Laravel in most of my applications. Now I'm just going to scroll up here to explain the problem. Now building with Laravel is so much amazing. Like if you are building the full stack application using Laravel, it's absolutely amazing and I love it. That's not the problem. The problem comes when you want to deploy this app in the cloud. Okay, so let's look at the normal deployment that you would go through. And the problem associated with the deployment is actually the cost. The cost associated with the deployment. Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the biggest problems of all times, more especially if you're a beginner and you have no money to spend while learning a new tech stack. Let's say this is a normal deployment, and I'm just going to demonstrate for you how I got this cost. Now normally after you have built your application, you have added either MySQL, Postgres, whichever, and you have added your database and you have your application running and everything is okay. Now the normal deployment is you would go ahead and get any place you get yourself a VPS. Okay, you can just go ahead and get your small a VPS. You can get a VPS as low as $4 or $6. And if you just go here to DigitalOcean, I'm just going to use DigitalOcean because it is in between. It's a good platform and most people trust it. Okay, it's just like in between the high end and the low end. You could just use Ray, but of course the infrastructure of DigitalOcean is far better than this. So I'm just going to use this scenario. So if you wanted to create here a droplet, which is actually a VPS, and you just go ahead and create a new droplet and you choose the smallest amount possible that can run your application. Normally by default, if you just create a new droplet, you see it drops on $28 per month. You can actually just go ahead and change this by going down here and just choosing first of all a regular not a premium AMD. You can just simply go ahead and choose a regular here, and after choosing regular here, you can just go ahead and also choose at least a 1 GB RAM. I would say you buy a 1 GB RAM, but you can also go for the one of $4 with a 512 RAM. Okay, so if you just go this one, you go for $4, and if you go this one, I just went for at least a beta server, which is a 1 GB RAM. So if you just see this, you have $6 here, and this is the $6 that I placed here for a VPS, and this VPS simply only deploys a Laravel application. It doesn't do anything else. It simply deploys your application, and then now the second thing is actually to get yourself also a MySQL or Postgres DB. And this is where things start getting quite interesting. So if you just come back here and you now want to create, because after creating this, you now want to go ahead and create a database. So now when you just go to create a database, you just come here, you choose like Postgres or MySQL. By the way, it doesn't even matter. They all just the same. So just go ahead and click on Postgres is what I want to use, or you can use MySQL. It just the same price. And then we just come down here. You said the minimum plan they have here is actually $13 per month. Okay, And this is the same cost, like 1 GB RAM. Okay, 1 GB RAM, it is just $13. Now when you just continue down here, actually you will just say this actually mounts, after adding storage, this mounts to $15, and this is the $15 that you have here. And in total, in theory or even in production, you will actually have a cost of around $21 per application. Okay, now with a simple mathematics, let me just give you an example. Here over time, I have over 30 projects that I have deployed that are running free online. Like they, of course, they exceed this. These are like the ones I've built on YouTube, but if you put the ones I have not put on YouTube, they exceed like 100 apps. Let's just take a small number, like 30 applications that I have running on the cloud. And all these ones are running on Next.js, which is free and free database. So right now, if I was going to go ahead and just get a quick calculator and just multiply this by 30, okay, this would mount something like, you can just say like 20 times this is 600. So this would mount to something like 600 per month. Like that is something you don't want to think about, right? Like there is no one who have this money even close to $100 per month, and if you just reclining. So I'm just giving you an example. If we multiplied this by 30, you would end up with a bill in 600 plus. Okay, and what does this mean? This means that you will never have your apps deployed online. You will always have them on localhost, and this is a big problem, guys. Why? You cannot show up these projects to other people, your recruiters, because all the time people go ahead and I send them a link, they test my application and they like this, how much is it? Now, if you can't deploy applications in the cloud, that is a very huge no, and it's a big red, and is also a big restriction as a person who is freelancing and looking for jobs. Okay, nevertheless, now of course after this, Laravel Cloud looks at this problem and they came up with a better solution. Okay, so now with a Laravel Cloud platform that is a very new one, actually of recent, they brought in this new solution of Laravel Cloud. Now with Laravel Cloud, you still have the same thing. You have to buy the server, and actually the one thing that I thank the Laravel team, which Next.js have been leading of all time, is bringing it the serverless way of doing things. So you still buy a server, but now they brought this time whereby you can actually go and hibernate. So they are calling this one hibernation. Okay, this. So they are calling it hibernation. So you can hibernate, or what does it mean? What it means, I'm just going to add this as serverless. What this one means is that you have your app running, only they will charge you when your app is running, rather charging you charging your app when just charging it just normally, just like the way you saw here on VPS. So instead of running it on the VPS, they run it under serverless. You simply say, I want it to hibernate every 1 minute if there is no any person using it, or 2 minutes if there is no person using it, and they go ahead and hibernate this application, and they will not charge you for that time, which actually tremendously bring your app, because most of these applications you only want them to be tested if you send it to a client, or if you send it to a user, then it's going to run it at that time and test it. So basically it's going to be in hibernation, and you only test it when it is necessary. And if you hibernate it about 78%, you just run $2. Let me show you that. So if you just go to Laravel Cloud, so you can just go ahead and Laravel Cloud. So you can just go to Laravel Cloud and just click on this pricing calculator. And on this pricing calculator here, they just give you, you can see just by default, you can just go down here. Let's just go here. You can select a personal site. You can select the region. You can just select here the plan. So they have 3 plans now. They have this pay as you go and this 20 per month which you're not going to go for it. So just going to as pay as you go, and then they have here shared the shared ones, where you can just go ahead and choose which you want. So I chose also, like, you can just go ahead and choose like this 512 RAM, or you can choose 1 GB RAM like this. And then now when you just go down here, you can actually choose the hibernation time. So you can say automatically pause the environment when inactive to reduce costs. So you can see that now you can actually have it like 78% hibernation. And then without adding here, by adding a DB, if you just go here and you add like a MySQL or any database, and you also add like 1 GB here, 1 GB MySQL database, you can see that this one actually goes into $13. Okay, it goes $13, which is far much better, right? If you just go here and you just say, so let's just see, for if I just go ahead and first remove database, I just want to remove this. So you can see this runs at about 1.5, okay, with this 1 GB RAM starter. You can see the database here, if it is actually on 78%, you have something like 1.54. So if I just go ahead and just actually change this, so I rounded this to $2 here. This is the $2 per month. I rounded off this. Okay, now if you just go ahead now add a database, so basically if you add a database and you add like there is even a serverless Postgres, we're just going to add this one, and you can also just have the hibernation time as usual. Nice. So you can see like if you just add a Postgres hibernation also like at the same like 70%, but if you just add a MySQL, I just want to show you. So if you just go ahead and add a MySQL, you will just basically have it running at the remaining amount, which is about $11. Okay, you can find that this is $11, which I took at about let's just say here 11, which is just about now $13 here. Now still, if we bring our calculation here, I'm just going to duplicate this. If I bring my calculation here times 30 projects, you said this is going to go about 300. Okay, $300. So you can see still this is a very if I had 30 projects on Laravel Cloud, I'll still have go to this. Okay, now on my solution now is to entirely actually remove this, and I just put my own and I run on only this. Okay, so I'm just going to provide my own database. And that is where you can use. Now when it comes to providing your own Postgres databases, there are very few options, guys. You cannot use Prisma Postgres, you cannot use like Superbase, the problems. So you have very few providers, and the genuine provider, which is Neon. And by the way, you can also use Vercel Postgres, which is actually using Neon. So you can use Neon. Now when you use Neon, it brings us to this problem, because when you try to add your own database and you add Neon, it brings us to now this problem here. Okay, let's try and go ahead and add Neon. Now the reason why we want to add Neon is simply because you just want to only just have here running on 0. So you can just add this, and this is absolutely running on $2, okay, per month. So this is $2 per month. This is more manageable than anything else. But let's see, how can you actually run on $2? That means you need to use Neon. Now you understand why this question we asked, why Neon and why not MySQL. You know why. We want to save costs, and Neon is the best provider. Now when you just go to Neon, I have a new project here. I'm just going to see here. I have a brand new Laravel Laravel here project that is very new and it has no database right now, and you just want to go ahead and configure to add a Postgres database. Okay, this is what I want. Now when you just go ahead and go to Neon, I'm just going to go to Neon and I'm just going to go ahead and create a new project. Okay, you can just go ahead and sign up for a new Neon Postgres free. They give you 10 projects for free, 10 for free. I'm just going to go here and create a new one. I'm just going to call this one Laravel YouTube tutorial. I'm just going to go ahead and just use Frankfurt. I'm just going to go ahead and create new like this. I'm just going to go ahead and connect now. So when you're connecting here, they give you a connection string, or you could just also go to this parameters only, and they give you these parameters. Now actually I created a blog that we can follow that we just say past identify this. So when you create a new project that you have created, you just go ahead and create a new account, and then from here you configure your Laravel environment. So just first looking at the wrong way so that we just get the error, we understand how to fix it. So basically when you just get these parameters, you see we have these parameters here. I'm just going to go ahead and copy these parameters. So you have to convert these parameters here, okay, into your Laravel. So if I just go to my Laravel application, I'm just going to go to the env. So this is the env, and you can see here they just tell you to use here. It is using the SQLite. We want to go ahead and use our database like this. So the first thing I'm just going to do is copy this. So just go ahead and copy this, and then let's go ahead and put it this here. So I'm just going to go ahead and paste it here where we have the database connection. You have to change this one to Postgres, and now let's go ahead and put the host, DB port and everything. So when you just go to your Postgres, you start the host and they give you the host here. I'm just going to go ahead and copy the host, Ctrl C. I will bring my host and just simply remove this, and I'm just going to simply add the host. The port, I think I'm just going to leave the port the way it is, and I'm just going to have the database, which is NeonDB, and the user, I'm just going to go here, copy this, I'm just going to go back here. So for the database, leave it to NeonDB. Username, which is NeonDB user. Let me add others. I'm just going to go ahead and add the password, copy this. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and copy this. This is the password, and of course the SSL mode, which is required. So you can just go ahead and put that SSL mode, or you can just even just leave those ones. So this is how you would put actually the what? This is how you get from the Neon. This is what they give you to use. They give you to use this. So now if I try to test this, I also added the ways to test this. Or by the way, you could just use just simply a database URL. And I find this, by the way, very easy to use. I will use this later. But you can also just say simply, instead of putting all these ones, all these, you can simply put a database URL, which simplifies everything. So now to reproduce the error, we're just going to first go ahead and test this. And we can test this by first running the PHP artisan tinker, and we can test this here. So let me just go to, I've added this, everything you can save. And let me just go to a new thing here. I'm just going to just say PHP artisan. Sorry. Clear this. I'm just going to say PHP artisan. So you can run the tinker. PHP artisan tinker, and this allows us to write the commands in here. And the command we want just run is now this db connection get pod. So PDO. This one tests the connection if the connection is working. If it is working, it gives us back all the details of the database connection. If not, it will just give us an error showing what is the problem. So if you just run this, okay, so you get this classic error. Okay, you get this classic error, which is PDO exception. SQLite, they give you this error. Endpoint ID is not specified. Either please upgrade to the Postgres client library. And this is a big problem that I've seen online. Everyone is trying to solve this error and they have failed. And you can see here, I've just also reproduced it here. Error endpoint is not specified. Either please upgrade. This is the classic error you get with this. Now to solve this error, okay, to solve this error, we're just going to go ahead now understand what the problem is. Neon uses the server name indication, which are for SSL connection. Okay, this is where the problem comes from. Neon uses this SNI, which is server name indication, and the other PostgreSQL client libraries don't support this. Laravel by default database configurator doesn't handle Neon endpoint ID requirement, and the endpoint ID, which is the first part of the host name, needs to be passed explicitly. So in solving this, we can just get the upgrade to using either you can just include this in your password. Okay, you need to upgrade this and add it in your password, or you can actually just use a database URL. So how do we extract this? The most important thing is now you can actually use the password. I'm just going to update and use the password instead. So in your password here, okay, you have to actually add the endpoint ID. So I'm just going to copy this and I'm just going to go back here to my env, and I'm just going to only actually on this password, DB password, I'm just going to go ahead down here and paste this. Okay, now after pasting this, I just want to you see there is this endpoint here. You have to specify the endpoint. And where do you get the endpoint? The endpoint is this first part, this one. Okay, so this first part of the of your host is actually the endpoint. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this endpoint, and I will just go ahead and paste it here like this. And then I will of course just use my password, this one. Let me just go ahead and comment this, and then here I will just go ahead and add my password. So you can see in the DB password is where actually we append the this endpoint, and then we put the password. I'm just going to go ahead and clear. Let me just first exit now. I'm just going to exit, and I can first go ahead and do PHP artisan config clear. I can first go ahead and clear the configuration for cache. This clears the cache. And now I can just again do the PHP artisan tinker, just like this. And I'm just going to go ahead and get this DB connection get PDO. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and run this. And now you can see this gives us back a connection. Okay, you can see this gives us back a connection, guys. This is really wonderful. So this gives us back a connection, and this shows that it has connected to our database. Okay, so to simplify this whole process of getting and checking this one, okay, first of all is that you can actually, instead of using this DB connection, DB post, DB, you can just actually comment all these ones and use just a database URL. Okay, so you can just simply get a database URL, and the connection string they give you at first, if I just go back here, this connection string they give you, this one here, is actually database URL. So you can just copy this and you come back here and you just simply do database URL. Okay, I could just say database URL, just like this, and I say this is equal to this one. So this is the same thing. Now if I run this, I should get the original error, right? Let me first go ahead and exit. Clear. Now if I just again go ahead and run this clear, and then I'm just going to go ahead and run the tinker. And if I just go ahead and run this very command, this one, let me just move it clear here. So if I just go ahead and run this, I will, I think it is just like still having the thing. If you don't, exit. It is still having the problem. Let's see. If you just add this one direct, it will give us this old problem as I indicated here. Here you can use this one. Okay, now to solve the problem is that you have to go ahead and get inside your Postgres URL if you want to use it, and you have to specify inside the endpoint. So with these demonistic settings, because now you have to come here and instead before putting the ID, you have to go ahead and indicate the endpoint. So I'm just going to copy this. Let me copy this one. Okay. So I'm just going to paste it down here. So you have database URL, but you have to include only one thing after this owner here, which is the username. You have to go ahead and pass in the endpoint here. Okay, this is why you pass in the endpoint. So I actually provided a beta solution to how to convert all this. So if you just go to tools here, okay, so to solve this problem of converting, because this normal string they give you at Neon, it has to be formatted in a particular way to add in that problem of the ID. So whether you are using database URL or you are using the parameters, you have to go ahead and actually cater for this ID. Okay, the one that we are just talking about here, the problem of this ID. The endpoint ID has to be specified. Either you're using database URL or you're using the parameters. So there are two options you could just use. You could just use database URL in your environmental variables. And in this, you have to make sure that in the connection, you add in endpoint. Okay. And if you use the parameters, where you have to go ahead and modify your DB password. Okay, DB password. This is why you actually have to go ahead and also include the endpoint. So there are two ways, and this is how I solved the problem. I created this small app. So if you just go to my portfolio here, let's just go to my portfolio here. Under tools, you're going to see this DB connection string formatter. So if you click on this, this opens this page here with this tool which extracts credentials from your Neon to Laravel. So what you basically do is you simply go to your Neon and just simply copy this string. I'm just going to go ahead and copy this string, Ctrl C, and just go back in here the app, and I'm just going to go ahead and paste this here. So you simply click on extract and format. So when you extract and format, I give you two options. You can either use the database URL or you can use the parameters. So you can see it sets for you all these parameters you can copy at once, or you can just use the database URL. I like using this. This is very easy and this works very well with others. So I'm just going to copy this and just go to my application in here, just like this, and then I just go ahead and paste the database URL. Now you're going to see that already this comes formatted with the endpoint. Now to test that this is working, we're just going to go ahead and run again. I'm just going to go ahead, you can just go here, first stop the application, let's clear. I'm just going to go ahead and run the PHP artisan. I think it is config, clear config. Let me go back to my blog here. Just going to go to this blog so that you can just get some of these commands down here. So the first one is this, the one PHP artisan config clear. Just going to say PHP artisan, and you can run a config clear. So this clears the cache, and then you can now run PHP artisan tinker, and this helps us to actually test the connection. And I always just say, like, first test your connection before you do anything else. So now we can do PHP artisan tinker, and then inside this we can just go ahead and test this, and you can see this connects very well. And I can now exit after testing. Now we can just actually go ahead and run the migrations. Okay, so after this you can just go ahead and run PHP artisan migrate. So this should be able to actually do the migration. So just do this, PHP artisan migrate. So nothing to migrate, I think I'd already migrated. So you can just say PHP artisan migrate fresh or refresh, just like this. And this just goes ahead and drops all the tables, and then they run again. And now we can just run composer run dev, just like this. So this one should just go ahead and start our app. Okay, this should just go ahead and run our app. And now if I just go back to our Neon, okay, if I just go back to our Neon and I just go to the tables, okay, and since we ran the migrations, this should be actually having the tables. Okay, let me just go ahead and run the dev, and I want to go ahead and create the user, because this I'm saying it created the users table and so on. So I just want to go ahead and start this server, and just going to give it some few seconds. Sometimes the composer run dev, it runs two commands in parallel, the npm run dev and the composer command. So it runs all the two commands in parallel. Sometimes it takes some time. So I'm just going to go ahead and just wait for it. Okay, so you can see the command has started, and you can see we can just test our app on this. Okay, we can just go ahead and test our app here, and I can just go ahead and just click on like register, and I can just go ahead and just do this. We can just go ahead and test this by using, I think, like why don't I just use simply the fake filler? I can just use the fake filler here. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and copy the this, and I'll just go ahead and create an account. Okay, just going to go ahead and create an account, and you can see that this has created the account. Okay, and I believe this we should be able to see. I'm not sure why we cannot see the tables here. Okay, it says 0 tables. I think you need an extension for the Postgres. I'm not sure whether you need like an extension for Postgres to be able to see the tables and everything. But now we have our database that is actually running in the cloud. Okay, we have our database. You can just go ahead and create all other things. You can see here, you can just go ahead and log out and log in, and all this information is stored in our database. Okay, which is really nice. Okay, so yeah, this is how you use the Neon plus this, and I'm already using this on our new starter kit. So I have a starter kit that I have here that I just want to show you. I'm just going to launch it very soon, guys. I'm just going to go here and I say composer run Dave. So this is already using the other thing, the Neon Postgres. This app is already using Neon Postgres to run this, and with this now you can create countless apps running only on the $2 for deployment. So now you can just go ahead and deploy on the Laravel cloud for the only $2, and then you add your database, which I'm just going to do. So in the next video I will just show you how I am going to deploy our starter kit. Okay, I will deploy this starter kit now, and when I deploy that starter kit, I will just actually see how much is going to run us. I just want to show you the preview of our starter kit, how it looks, and yeah, so that we just be expecting anytime this starter kit is going to be launched. It is looking absolutely amazing, guys. As you can see here, it has dark mode support. Okay, it has dark mode support, and of course you can see that it is absolutely amazing. Okay, yeah, so this is our starter kit that I've been working on for months, and it's going to come when it has all the things that you imagine in a full-fledged starter kit. I've been now so much burdened on deploying it, because I've been asking myself, how am I going to deploy it so that people can actually see the demos? Someone want to come and test, create a demo, and even see. I have to demonstrate when it is online. So I was actually thinking about that whole huge budget of actually having this starter kit. But now that we have a free database, this is going to be a breeze. It is using React, Postgres, TypeScript, Stripe, Resend, all the nice things that you expect in the app, file uploads, and all those nice things are in this application. Okay, and I put the whole soul into this. Okay, yeah, so it's going to be launched anytime from today. Be waiting for it. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I think you find this very resourceful, and if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe, like the video, and share it. Thank you so much. I will see you in the next one.